I hope this video does for you what it did for me, spark curiosity and not shame. As a pediatrician, online creator, and mom, I work from my phone, but I never want my kids or anyone in my life to feel like a screen matters more than they do. And sometimes I need this reminder. A recent meta-analysis in JAMA Pediatrics looked at parental technology use, or PTU, and found something very small but meaningful. More frequent screen use around kids under 5 was linked to lower attention, more emotional struggles, and less cooperation in the child. Why? Because in early childhood reciprocity, that back and forth attention, is how kids learn to connect, regulate, and feel seen. Of course, the study had limits. Most of the data was self-reported, and it didn't factor in the quality of connection outside of parental screen use, which can absolutely help balance things out. But here's the takeaway that stuck with me from that video. Repeated moments of disconnection, tech-related or not, can shape how our kids experience us. Here are some parental screen use tips to keep in mind. I ask myself, am I resting or just escaping if I'm using a screen in front of my child? Sometimes the scroll is necessary, or you're handling something important for work or even your family. I protect mealtimes, bedtime, play, and reunion moments like wake-ups or school pickup. These are powerful times to reconnect. When I'm done working and present with my kids, phones are away unless it's to snap a photo we look at together later. If my toddler tries to grab my phone or my older child talks mid-scroll, I pause and narrate. I'm finishing a message for work and then I'm all yours. And if the phone does come out during downtime, I don't stress. I zoom out and look at the bigger picture. This is presence with intention. Our kids are watching not just what we say about their screen use, but how we use them as well. So zoom out, look at your habits as a whole. Are there moments you can cut the scroll? Because connection doesn't have to be constant, but it should feel real. And those small, sacred moments, they're worth protecting. See below for more information about this study and how to manage this if you work from home.
Today's digital environment has made it nearly impossible to miss or ignore the influence of screens in our lives. But for kids who are in critical stages of development, the screen habits of the adults around them, especially parents, serve as behavioral blueprints. This is where the underhanded part of the game is played. With all of the artificial stress injected into society and the rise of single-parent homes have led to parents turning to screens as breaks for themselves and for their children. Remember, the children learn more from what adults do rather than what they say.
Yo, I still don't got an inch fish. Merry Christmas, boy and hoes.
You go outside, listen, because you a little bit too young for this hairstyle, and I'm not raising no hoes.
Hoes? Hold on, I ain't no hoe. I'm trying to make some money off these bows. On my soul, the baddest out here, yes. You see these bows, step in.
You talking Zaza?
Yeah, I'm talking about Zazas that loud. Yeah, if you trying to look like the bows, come to the Harbor.
Hold on, somebody trying to run off with a bow.
A new report looks at how digital devices are taking a toll on kids and families. The report issued yesterday by Common Sense Media found half of all young people feel they are addicted to their devices. Almost 60% of adults think their kids are addicted too. And a third of parents and teens say they argue daily about screen time. Now, a new documentary explores this topic and offers ideas about what families might do to navigate these waters. William Brangham is back with our look.
The documentary is called Screenangers, and in it, Dr. Delaney Rustin explores the complex relationship teenagers have with their screens. Both the pleasures they take in sharing their lives online with their friends, as well as the darker side, those who lose control of their digital habits and spiral into damaging behavior.
When I went to hug him, I could feel the bones in his back, and that was scary.
The film also looks at the latest research about the impact all this screen time has on the brains of young people.
You have a brain that is wired for what in psychology is called seeking behavior, the kind of thing that a Google search gives you. Something new, something stimulating, something different.
Throughout the film, Rustin also turns the camera on herself, exploring the real and all too common conflicts that flare up as she and her family haggle over screen time.
What should the rules be? Because we don't have any right now.
I think the rules should be there is no rules. It's not like I'm on it 24/7.
When you had it, you're always checking it, and don't you think that
Well, if you put this in front of me, yes, I will go on it, and yes, I can find something to do on it.
Tessa, why are you so mad? Okay.
Just get dressed. I'm sorry you're crying.
I met with Delaney Rustin last week in Washington, D.C. I wonder what was it that initially, what made you want to do this film?
I was having a really hard time as a mom with my two kids. You know, my son wanted to play video games a lot, and my daughter really wanted more and more social media, and I felt completely out of control. And as a doctor, I was thinking, what is the impact of all this screen time? I knew as a mom that every day there was tension in the house, and that I felt completely out of control on what to do, what kind of limits to set, how this was affecting them.
Now that you have done all this research, what was it, I'm curious, that most surprised you that you found?
Well, I think one thing that really helped me to start to be a better parent around this is to learn that the dopamine that's secreted in the brain's pleasure center when we get new bits of information and we look at the screens, that center of the brain is most activated when we're kids and we're teenagers. So knowing that they are so pulled into these in a way that we can't even understand has made me not be as angry at them, but realize there's a lot more I need to do as in my
So we got to go back a little bit to the parents, because in order for the children to become susceptible to this, parents themselves have to be susceptible to certain habits when dealing with these devices. Parents, like children, have been gradually conditioned into screen addiction. Social media platforms, they use dopamine loops as a hook to hijack attention. These platforms' whole design is to monetize attention. Adults or parents of today have or were the first wave users. What started as a tool has become a reflex to compulsively check devices.
Do as in my parenting.
So these are little electronic drug delivery devices. I know that's a crude way to put it, but that's what you're saying.
Absolutely. I mean, it's amazing that there's many studies that look at MRI scans of the brain of kids who play a lot of video games, 20 hours or more of video games a week. And when they compared them to people who are addicted to, say, drugs or alcohol, their brain scans are similar. So something is really happening on a physiological level. It's not just psychological.
We exposed young mice to switching sounds and lights.
In the film, Rustin talks with researchers who are studying what multitasking, switching rapidly back and forth between digital devices, does to the brain function of mice.
Afterwards, we looked at the effect on learning and found that the ability of these young mice to learn new things was very much compromised. It took them 3 times longer or more to learn how to go through a maze than the non-exposed young mice. We're exposing a whole generation of children to these rapid-paced media, and we have no clue what it does to the brain. And if it's the same as we see in the mice, then this is a very shocking news.
A lot of parents use social media to distract them from their own unprocessed emotions, exhaustion, anxiety, or unresolved trauma. Over time, digital escapes become easier than facing a crying child or difficult conversation or the burden of parenting. Social media was not made to improve a person's social life. As people are becoming more addicted to social media, people have become less social. Social media and media as a whole is mass mind control, point blank. That's what it was designed for.
But does that kind of stuff terrify you, or do you think this research is not necessarily analogous? I mean, how are people supposed to process that information?
You know, I think it's a question about how much we're giving kids full potential in everything that they do. And to me, a big issue is about how much time they have with all sorts of skills that they're learning offline. Social engagement, competency, talking to people face to face. I think if we're giving them a lot of those situations, that even if there's some concern about attention span and possibly some changes in the brain, I think the humans are resilient enough, and already we're seeing people are not, you know, dropping like flies from screen time. I don't think we're at a place yet where we need to be really alarmist.
Let's say I'm a parent and I come to you and I say, I have a young kid, maybe a 10-year-old daughter. When should I get her a phone? What would you tell this parent?
I think, you know, obviously every kid is different, and that's really important, and every situation in the home is different. But I do worry that it is getting younger and younger, and when we start having them in elementary school, we have to wonder, when is it too young that they're not going to be able to resist the impulse to check or to post?
Every girl in the picture is locked into her phone. Peralta knocks it into center. David tonight 2 for 2, a leadoff single here in the 4th, and nobody noticed. Can we do an intervention?
This is all about teaching kids self-control. And what we've learned through the research is that it's absolutely teachable. So I would really discourage a family from getting a child a device when they don't feel like they're going to be able to control themselves from when they use it.
Kids are constantly distracted.
Rustin has been taking her film across the country recently, holding screenings in dozens of cities, encouraging parents and kids to come, to watch, and then to continue the conversation at home.
You know what I think is really...
To keep it a stat, parents were made susceptible through engineered tech habits, being emotionally overwhelmed, and a culture that glorifies distraction. The result, a quiet epidemic of emotional absence. But what can you expect when market forces have redefined family interaction? Bonding now is sharing a photo or liking a post. That's my time for today. I'm shaquilleR, and you, my friends, are not.